Welcome to Secure Strides, the podcast where we explore technology policy, cybersecurity, and digital trust, all towards advancing safety and security in today's connected world. In each episode, we'll talk to professionals, academics, and industry leaders about the latest trends, challenges, and solutions in cybersecurity. This is the show for you if you're preparing for the jobs of the future or working towards creating secure and reliable digital systems. Secure Strides is your guide to succeed in the digital age and understand the ever-changing world of cybersecurity. Welcome back to the Secure Strides podcast, where we advance safety and security in our connected world. My name is Doshima Daboazwana, and today we have a special guest who's going to be sharing from a wealth of experience in global cybersecurity development. Joining us today is Orhan Osmani, the head of the Cybersecurity Division at the International Telecommunications Union. For those unfamiliar, the ITU is a specialized agency of the United Nations that focuses on information and communication technologies, working to drive innovation and bridge digital divides globally. Orhan has spent years at the forefront of international digital innovation, helping countries strengthen their cybersecurity frameworks while ensuring that digital development is inclusive and sustainable. Before his current role at the ITU, he had a successful career in the private sector where he led security initiatives across various industries. Today, Orhan plays a critical role in shaping policies that empower nations to protect their digital infrastructure while fostering innovation that benefits all, especially disadvantaged communities. So whether you're tuning in today to learn about international cybersecurity or just simply curious about what it means to make digital innovation more inclusive, you're in for an insightful conversation. So without further ado, welcome, Orhan. It's a pleasure to have you as a guest on the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I've said this before on several episodes that I was inspired to start this podcast following my participation in her Cyber Tracks, which is one of the initiatives that was launched last year by the ITU's Development Bureau. This initiative aimed to promote the equal and full representation of women in cybersecurity through mentoring and training. Why is this something that's important to the ITU?
I mean, this is important to ITU because, first of all, we have commitment as UN to kind of be inclusive. And at the same time, it's important because women play a really important role in development. More women being involved in STEM and technology, it's good because they bring diverse views to the problems we have and diverse solutions as well. So I think that's great great to have them as equal partners in our work.
So let's talk about your agency recently released the Global Cybersecurity Index, which has been released. I think we're on the 5th edition now. Can you tell us a little bit about this year's report and how it's linked to the global cybersecurity agenda?
As you mentioned, this is the 5th edition. First of all, maybe to explain, the GCI is, people sometimes misquote and misunderstand the importance of the GCI and the role it plays. The Global Cybersecurity Index measures the commitments of the countries. Do they have the right policies, the right actions, the right directions, and so on? But we don't measure the maturity. So that's why it's very important to distinguish between commitment and maturity. So I think being, for example, this edition has introduced the tiering. So we have 5 tiers there, and being in tier 1, which is kind of the highest tier, it's important, but it doesn't mean that you are secure. Why?
Right.
Because cybersecurity is not something you can say I'm cyber secure, but it shows that being on tier 1 you're committed, and that commitment needs to kind of reflect in maturity as well. So that's why it's important to be mature as well. And how it's linked to global cybersecurity agenda in 2009, when over 100 experts came together in 2007, 2008, they created this framework called Global Cybersecurity Agenda, which looks at the 5 pillars similar to what GCI is measuring. And GCI was born out of the Global Cybersecurity Agenda. And why it is important? Because it drives development and commitment in cybersecurity, and it has been as a tool for development for many countries. And we see as a framework has been used by many, and we think it's important to maintain it and support the countries going forward.
So you mentioned the GCI has the 5 pillars. It measures legal measures, technical measures, organizational capacity development, and corporation measures. How are these 5 pillars chosen, and are there any more pillars that might offer a wider perspective?
I mean, as I mentioned, this work was done by high-level expert group in 2007, 2008. This group of experts came together and defined these 5 pillars. I think now we have Oxford Cybersecurity Maturity Model, which has one more, which is on society and culture. I think as a framework, it's fine as it is 5 because it helps also to contribute to other pillars as well. It's not, but I think combining together, like, we have Cybersecurity Index, but also other tools like CMM, which is Oxford Model on Maturity Assessment. That one provides a kind of better picture on what needs to be done on a national level. And I think, we should not be striving and trying to say one size fits all or one tool solves all the problem, but we need to kind of have complementing tools which help further cybersecurity development in the countries.
So there's a excerpt from the report I'm just going to read, and it says cybersecurity is a complex, interconnected challenge necessitating a holistic, multi-stakeholder approach. Given its transnational character, effective response demands cooperation across public, private, and government sectors. The past decades have been characterized by a variety of efforts to build international cooperation and coordination, including the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime, which entered into force in 2004, the African Union Convention on Cybersecurity and Personal Data Protection, known as the Malabo Convention, which came into effect in 2023, and the Commonwealth of Independent States Agreements on Cooperation in the Fight Against Crimes in the Field of Information Technologies, which came into force in 2020. In addition, cybersecurity efforts have increased the context of many other international and regional and sectorial agreements around cybersecurity. But still, many countries are not part of these agreements, whether due to conflict, lack of human resourcing, or unclear benefits. So my question really is, what can we do to better communicate the benefits of cybersecurity, especially to countries that are hesitant to take some of these recommended steps?
I think sometimes, so when we are working in countries, we often see leading organizations of cybersecurity have this tendency to think that, they are the most important in the country as an organization. So I think, what needs to happen that, cybersecurity and other supporting pillars of digital development should be understanding that they are key to support the digital development. That's why others in digital development need to understand that, you need to deploy cyber secure services to the citizens or to the businesses. So I think, we need to see it from a broader view that, we are important to each other. Like, I mean, we cannot just simply say that we are the most important people in one organization as well. We are part of the team, and cybersecurity is an important factor on digital development. That's why some of the countries like Singapore have cybersecurity like supporting pillar of digital transformation of the country. So it's key, something to be considered. And I think, if we communicate it well and we align the cybersecurity strategies and actions to the national digital development, I think, that would kind of provide that support we need. And, so I think, that's basically my thoughts about it.
I like that. And, I always say we live in a connected world, so we're only as secure as all of us are secure. So you really can't afford to exist in isolation. So what kind of support is available from the ITU to countries that are looking to improve their GCI scores?
As you know, ITU is a specialized UN agency, and we have a mandate which is given to us by the member states through WTDC, which is the World Telecommunications Development Conference. Then we have, the Plenipotentiary Conference, and also we have WTSA. So these conferences basically give us the mandate. What are the areas we can work on? Based on that, we provide support to the countries in different ends, and we focus currently, because of our mandate in development sector of ITU, we focus on about five work areas. One is the data and advocacy, which basically you have the Global Cybersecurity Index and the research we do around the data and advocacy. We help countries to develop incident response capabilities, establish the national CERT in different ways. We regularly run cyber drills, cybersecurity exercises, where we bring countries or globally or on regional level. We bring them together, or sometimes we do national cyber drills where we bring stakeholders on national level together to kind of learn together and execute some of the challenges they might face in the real life if an incident happens, which can in fact impact the country. Then another area of work where we do work is in the strategy and policy. Here we help countries to develop cybersecurity strategies. Basically, what we do in that case, we work together with the countries so they can be enabled or trained to develop their own cybersecurity strategy. We run them through, let's say, online training, which is self-paced training online for free. There is actually a guide document which has been developed with about 25 organizations together. So it's kind of community tool which is being used widely, and that is a framework or methodology how to develop cybersecurity strategy. So we transfer the knowledge to the countries. We do tabletop exercises where we bring stakeholders on national level together, and then we can work together with them to draft the strategy and the action plan. We act as a facilitator there. We support the country until the development of the strategy, and of course after they to also endorse the strategy in their parliament and so on. And then the next one is the skills development, where you are part of the Women in Cyber program, where Her Cyber Tracks, where we help the young women to kind of engage into the industry, and through mentors and through our guidance, we help them to kind of connect and take that courage, that you can take the leadership position, so no one can stop you besides yourself. So that has been encouraging, and we can see lots of testimonials where we have young women pushing things forward and implementing the words and moving them into action. And then the last piece is online safety, which is youth and child online protection. Here we have been active in this role since 2008 with the guidelines, 4 sets of guidelines for regulators, teachers, parents, children. And then in 2020, we had an update of these guidelines. Over 100 partners participated. Civil society, UN organizations, private sector, and so on contributed to those guidelines. So in principle, these are the 5 areas we work on. But when we don't have, for example, mandate on cybercrime, when countries come and request assistance on cybercrime trainings or capacity building, we reach out to our partners like Interpol, UNODC, UNICRI, and others. So basically, we connect the countries. So instead of them losing time to find a contact, we have it already because we have partnership with this organization. So this is in a nutshell what we offer. Of course, we are a development agency. We are not funding agency. So together with them, we look for funding to support these activities. And we have had a number of countries supporting our efforts in helping the developing countries. And I think one worth to mention is that, we have a project called Cyber for Good, where this project is focused on LDCs and trying to expand it now to small island developing states, where private sector members have contributed with their CSR and ESG projects for at no cost, offering solutions and capacity building to the LDCs. That's why in the current GCI you can see a spike in commitment in the LDC countries, because they were really active supporting them past 3 years. It's worth to mention that we need to work together and we need to support those who are falling behind, but I think we should not leave them behind.
So moving on to your career, you started out working in the private sector. So how or why did you transition into international development?
I think all of us have journeys we take. And I think my journey somehow, it came to looking for a change. And so basically, in private sector, I played different roles. I was in a consulting company. Then, I said, okay, let me try something else in private sector. Then I moved into system integration, understanding, how pieces fall together. And then, there I started to kind of engage on project management. From there, I started to look at what distributors are doing in terms of ICT space. And I learned what they did. And then from distribution part, I went into bigger project implementations, like large projects where, I learned how to work with a number of project managers, because, when the project is big, you need to have a number of project managers working with you internally and externally, because, you have the clients and so on. And then I was in the working, my last job was with Oracle. So working with the principal organization, understanding those solution providers, how they work. And I said, maybe it's a good time to look into something else, working for public sector. And then I came across this consultancy job in ITU where, I started to work there, and I started to love the job because it was Basically, financially was more rewarding to stay in the private sector, but in terms of job satisfaction, helping developing countries and making impact in the world, I think that's something which I fell in love with, and that's why since then I'm working in ITU, and I love the job doing, because when you help someone and you have this job satisfaction, doesn't matter the sacrifices and the work you do. So that's why we work extra mile and we are happy with it.
I love that. True. Every career is a journey. I definitely didn't start out thinking I would end up in cybersecurity, but the space that gives me the fulfillment. A lot of people that listen to this show are trying to advance in their careers. What would you say you wish you had known before you got your first management role in your career?
I think what I wished I've known, that it would be good actually to kind of understand ourselves better. So when we are going through the journey, we just see ourselves from our own lenses. Let's take an example. We see ourselves on the mirror, but we don't see what is at the back of the mirror. So basically, we don't see what is behind us. And I think we need to be open and empower our friends and colleagues to tell us how we can be better at our jobs. What is important when moving from post or from one job to another one is being open, transparent, and also, I call it, control your ego, because all of us as humans, we have egos. So sometimes, if we let the ego grow, we might lose the sight of, who we are. And I think, that helps. So basically, controlling our ego helps us develop empathy. I wish I would have known lots of terms which are being used nowadays. Like when I started, I didn't know many terms, what they mean. For example, I never heard about empathy until I was like way, way beyond of the journey I've taken. So I think, these are the things, which I would love to have known. And also, another thing I would have loved to have is to have a mentor who would be guiding me through the thing. Get someone you can trust, and basically you can ask questions and support you through the journey. And I think this what I lacked. I had it bits and pieces from different supervisors, but I think having a long-term mentor would have been something good to know. And that's why I advise young professionals now, get a mentor, try and see and ask questions. Don't be shy, because I think some of us have taken and discovered our path through challenges and difficulties, but I think some of us are willing to share those experiences, so basically you can be prepared better how to respond to those. And I think that's probably would have been something good to have, but I didn't have it. I'm happy where I am, and I'm happy also. My team is happy with me because I empower them, and my team always helps me to. They guide me as well, because I'm not there only to guide them, but they guide me as well, because they give me the sense of direction. And sometimes when I'm wrong, and they come and tell me, and I sit down and think, okay, I'm wrong. So I mean, when you are supervising someone, or when you're a leader or trying to lead, you need to develop new leaders. It's not about you. I like Simon Sinek when he says, leaders are responsible for people. They're not responsible for results. And they're responsible for people who deliver results. I think this is basically something which, I think we need to practice more and more. But, journey is tough. So basically everybody has to take it at slow pace and realize who you are yourself and how you treat other people. I think that's the key of your progress and development. And you can choose which one to take. There are different types of leadership, but I think leadership in empowering others, having empathy, supporting others, I think that's the way of satisfying yourself as well. Because long term, when you are away from these jobs, from the roles we play, I think we're gonna look back and say, I'm happy that I empowered others and I built others. So I think should be thinking down the road where you're gonna be when you retire, and
Yeah.
it's good to have those relationships, when people or your teammates who you led can reach back to you and say, hey, thank you for the time you spent with me, or thank you for empowering me. And I think that would be probably the biggest satisfaction someone can have after they're gone from the profession and retired. So I'm looking forward to that.
You're definitely developing people, and we are definitely glad you exist in the role that you do. My final question for you, we can't talk about cybersecurity without talking about resilience, right? Because we all know that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when something may happen. In terms of career, how did you handle the worst day that you've had so far? And sort of what did that teach you about yourself and resilience in your career?
I think, the most difficult or challenging day in my career, I mean, there were several of them, but I think, how you can kind of manage those is basically by being patient and listening and trying to understand the other side. Because sometimes, you might end up working for a manager who is micromanager, or you can have a manager who is basically difficult manager, or you can have a great manager. It doesn't matter. I think that what needs to be with us, it's a patience, trying to understand the other side and respond when you are basically kind of calm and aware of the situation. I think that's how we can, manage our most challenging situations. Because just being calm, you don't have to react on things. Just take it easy, see, and even if you are unhappy with the current challenge or current situation, you just respond in a nice way and kind way so people can understand. They cannot break you with anger, with shouting, or with kind of talking down to you. What can break you is yourself if you allow that to enter in you. So I use sometimes, this, I like to use kind of examples when I say, you know, imagine you're a big boat and you are in the, on the sea and these big waves are coming through. The only way you can sink if you allow the water to come in. So if the water does not come in, it means you will not sink as a boat. Same for humans. If we allow other people to get into us, then we will basically not have possibility to address a challenge. And that's why I think, the best way to address any challenging day is to be calm and understand the other side and respond. I mean, that's it. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's difficult because, as I mentioned earlier, we have our egos. Our ego makes us angry, try to make us respond. But sometimes, you have to think maybe the other side was right. Maybe it's not the right way to deliver, but that's the way they deliver it. And you don't need to help only yourself. You need to help them as well. You need to go later on and say, by the way, you could have told me that in this way. And I'm telling you this because not for me. I'm telling you this because you can use the same approach with someone else and they're willing to listen to you more. I think we need to be champions of change of ourselves, but also those who misbehave on the other side. So, challenge is always to work with people. And I think, we need to try to address it the best possible way, and the best possible way, communicating and being calm. I mean, I'm not saying to let them step over you. No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, be firm, but in terms of being still kind and polite. Yeah, I mean, that's the way I overcame challenging situations, which are not easy to be kind of managed, but I mean, yeah.
They make us human, and I
Yes,
think that's a perfect place to end things. Don't allow other people to get into you, and just be patient. Everyone has those challenges, but we make it through with a little bit of patience.
exactly.
Orhan, thank you so much. It was an absolute delight to have you on the show. And again, thanks to ITU BDT for putting together her cyber tracks. It definitely has changed my career, and I'm extremely grateful to have had that opportunity.
Oh, thank you, Shima. We appreciate it as well. So we hope her Cybertrucks will grow, and and I think is growing. So we look forward to more leaders like you who can basically also take her Cybertrucks and help us to deploy it in other regions. I think that could be something great, and we hope it grows naturally. That's all.